The living room was a sanctuary of memories for Leah and Jonas. Every corner of the cozy space was adorned with mementos from their shared past, photos of their travels, trinkets collected from various adventures, and the books they had read together. The soft glow of the evening sun filtered through the curtains, casting a warm hue over the room, adding to the intimate atmosphere. Jonas sat beside Leah on their plush, well-worn couch, his hand gently holding hers. The touch was familiar and comforting, a silent testament to the bond they had nurtured over the years. He looked into her eyes, a mix of affection and nostalgia reflecting in his gaze. As he began to speak, his voice was tender, filled with the warmth of cherished memories. He reminisced about the day he had first realized that Leah was his forever. It had been a simple day, yet profound in its impact. They had been picnicking by the lakeside, surrounded by the vibrant colors of autumn. The crisp air had been filled with the scent of fallen leaves and the distant laughter of children playing. It was in that moment, watching Leah laugh with abandon, her eyes sparkling with joy, that Jonas had felt an overwhelming certainty. He knew, without a shadow of doubt, that she was the one he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. Jonas' words painted a vivid picture, transporting Leah back to that idyllic day. She could almost feel the cool breeze on her face and hear the rustling of leaves underfoot. The memory was like a warm embrace, enveloping her in a cocoon of love and security. As Jonas continued, his voice took on a softer, more solemn tone. He spoke of the challenges they had faced together, the trials that had tested their bond but had ultimately brought them closer. Leah listened, her heart swelling with emotion. She could feel the depth of his love and the sincerity of his words. It was a love that had been forged through both joyful and trying times, a love that had grown stronger with each passing day. She squeezed his hand gently, a silent affirmation of her own enduring affection. In that cozy living room, surrounded by the tangible remnants of their shared history, Leah and Jonas found themselves lost in the warmth of their connection. The room seemed to hum with the energy of their love, a love that had weathered countless storms and had emerged unscathed. They sat in comfortable silence, the unspoken words hanging in the air like a gentle promise of forever. Their struggle began in the sterile environment of the doctor's office, where they had hoped to find answers. Leah and Jonas sat side by side, their hands tightly clasped together as the doctor explained the results of their tests. The news was not what they had hoped for. The doctor spoke in a calm, measured tone, detailing the reasons why conceiving naturally would be difficult for them. Leah's heart sank, but she refused to let despair take hold. She glanced at Jonas, who nodded in silent agreement. They would not give up. Back at home, their bedroom became a sanctuary for whispered conversations and shared dreams. Late at night, as they lay in bed, Leah would often find herself staring at the ceiling, lost in thoughts of what could be. Jonas would reach out, his hand finding hers in the darkness, a silent promise that they were in this together. The weight of their struggle was heavy, but their determination was unwavering. The kitchen table, usually a place of laughter and daily routines, transformed into a battleground of emotions. Over cups of coffee, they discussed their options, weighing the pros and cons of each potential solution. Artificial insemination emerged as a viable path, a glimmer of hope in their otherwise challenging journey. Leah's eyes sparkled with renewed determination as she voiced her thoughts, her words filled with a mix of resolve and hope. Jonas listened intently, his heart swelling with pride for the woman he loved so deeply. The days turned into weeks, and their journey continued with a series of appointments and procedures. Each step brought its own set of challenges, but Leah and Jonas faced them with a united front. There were moments of doubt, times when the weight of their struggle threatened to overwhelm them. But in those moments, they found strength in each other, their love a beacon guiding them through the darkest times. One evening, as they sat at the kitchen table, Leah took a deep breath and looked into Jonas's eyes. Her voice was steady, filled with a quiet determination. She reminded him that they couldn't give up, that they would find a way. Jonas felt a surge of emotion, a blend of admiration and hope. He reached across the table, taking her hands in his, and nodded. They would keep fighting, no matter what. Their bedroom became a place of solace once more, a refuge from the uncertainties of the world. They would lie together, holding each other close, finding comfort in their shared journey. The nights were long, filled with whispered words of encouragement and dreams of the future. Despite the difficulties, their bond grew stronger, their love unwavering. The doctor's office, once a place of sterile uncertainty, became a symbol of their resilience. Each visit brought them closer to their dream, each procedure a step forward in their journey. The staff at the clinic became familiar faces, their empathy and support a source of comfort. Leah and Jonas navigated this new world with grace and determination, their eyes always on the horizon. As the weeks turned into months, their hope began to take root. The struggle for parenthood was not an easy one, but Leah and Jonas faced it with a strength that was truly remarkable. They leaned on each other, finding solace in their shared journey and the love that had brought them this far. Through it all, they never lost sight of their dream. The journey was difficult, filled with moments of doubt and heartache, but their determination never wavered. Leah and Jonas knew that their love was strong enough to overcome any obstacle, and they faced each new day with hope and resilience. In the end, their struggle for parenthood was a testament to their unwavering love and determination. Leah and Jonas had faced the odds together, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. They had found a way, just as Leah had promised, and their journey was far from over. The future was still uncertain, but they faced it with hope, knowing that together, they could overcome anything. Their story was a testament to the power of love and resilience, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, hope could shine through. Leah and Jonas had faced their struggle for parenthood with grace and determination, and their journey was a testament to the strength of their bond. They had not given up, and in the end, that made all the difference. In the sterile yet welcoming environment of Dr. Mitchell's office, Leah and Jonas sat side by side, their hands intertwined. The room was filled with the faint hum of medical equipment and the soft rustle of papers as Dr. Mitchell reviewed Leah's latest test results. The couple's journey had been long and arduous, filled with moments of heartache and fleeting hope. Today was just another routine checkup, or so they thought. Leah's heart was pounding in her chest, a mixture of anxiety and cautious optimism swirling within her. Jonas squeezed her hand reassuringly, his eyes conveying the unwavering support that had been their anchor through the stormy seas of infertility. Dr. Mitchell, a kind and experienced woman, removed her glasses and looked up, her face breaking into a radiant smile. "Congratulations," she said, her voice filled with genuine joy and awe. "You're having triplets." For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Leah's breath caught in her throat, and she turned to Jonas, her eyes wide with disbelief and overwhelming happiness. Jonas's face mirrored her emotions, his mouth opening and closing as if searching for the right words. They had hoped for a child, maybe two if they were lucky, but triplets? It was beyond their wildest dreams. Tears of joy streamed down Leah's face as she embraced Jonas, her heart swelling with a love so profound it felt as if it might burst. Jonas held her close, his own tears mingling with hers. They had faced so much together, endured the crushing weight of disappointment time and again, but now, in this moment, it all seemed worth it. The universe had finally answered their prayers in the most extraordinary way. Dr. Mitchell continued to explain the details and precautions they would need to take for a high-risk pregnancy like this, but Leah and Jonas were barely listening. They were lost in their own world, a bubble of pure, unadulterated joy. The doctor's words were a distant hum, overshadowed by the symphony of their beating hearts and the promise of a future filled with laughter and love. As they left the office, hand in hand, the weight of their struggles seemed to lift, replaced by an overwhelming sense of anticipation and excitement. The journey ahead would not be easy, but they knew they could face anything together. The miracle of life growing within Leah was a testament to their love and resilience. In the car ride home, they talked about names and nursery themes, their voices filled with an infectious giddiness. Every detail, every plan, was a celebration of the new life they were about to embark on. They knew that their lives would never be the same, and they welcomed the change with open hearts. That night, as they lay in bed, Leah rested her head on Jonas's chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. She placed a gentle hand on her belly, where 3 tiny lives were beginning to take shape. Jonas wrapped his arm around her, his touch a silent promise of unwavering support and love. In the quiet darkness, they whispered their dreams and hopes for their unborn children, painting a future filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. The miracle news had transformed their world, filling it with a radiant light that would guide them through whatever challenges lay ahead. As they drifted off to sleep, they knew that this was just the beginning of their extraordinary journey. Together, they would face the highs and lows, the joys and sorrows, and through it all, their love would remain the constant, unbreakable thread that held them together. The miracle of their triplets was not just a gift of life, but a profound affirmation of their enduring love and the beautiful future that awaited them. In the dimly lit hospital delivery room, the air was thick with anticipation. Leah lay on the sterile bed, beads of sweat forming on her brow as she endured the final moments of labor. The cacophony of medical instruments and hurried footsteps filled the space, but all Leah could focus on was the rhythmic encouragement of the nurses and the comforting presence of Jonas by her side. He held her hand tightly, his eyes a mixture of worry and excitement. Time seemed to stand still as Leah gave one final, determined push. The room fell silent for a split second before the first cry pierced the air. A nurse swiftly took the newborn to clean and examine, and soon after, 2 more cries echoed, signaling the arrival of the triplets. The medical team moved with practiced precision, ensuring each baby was healthy and stable. As Leah's exhaustion began to give way to relief, she turned her head to see Jonas. His face, which had been a picture of unwavering support, now twisted into an expression of shock and confusion. His eyes fixed on the tiny bundles being swaddled nearby. Leah's heart skipped a beat as she followed his gaze. The triplets, beautiful and perfect, were unlike what anyone had expected. Their skin, a rich and unmistakable shade of black, stood in stark contrast to Leah's pale complexion and Jonas's fair features. A surreal silence settled over the room as the gravity of the situation dawned on everyone present. Jonas's voice broke the heavy quiet, trembling with disbelief. "How is this possible?" he asked, his words hanging in the air, laden with a mix of bewilderment and betrayal. "Leah," still reeling from the labor and the unexpected turn of events, felt a lump form in her throat. She had no answers, only a flood of questions that mirrored Jonas's own. The medical staff exchanged uneasy glances, unsure of how to proceed in the face of such an extraordinary occurrence. The doctor, sensing the urgency of the moment, stepped forward to address the couple. "We need to run some tests," he said, his tone measured and professional, yet tinged with the same undercurrent of disbelief that everyone in the room felt. "This is highly unusual, and we need to understand what has happened." Leah nodded weakly, her mind racing. She could see the turmoil in Jonas's eyes, the way his world seemed to be unraveling. She reached out, her fingers brushing against his arm, seeking some semblance of connection amidst the chaos. But Jonas, lost in his thoughts, pulled away, leaving her hand to fall back to the bed, cold and alone. The minutes stretched into what felt like hours as the medical team conducted their examinations. Leah's mind drifted back to the moments leading up to this day, the struggles, the hope, the joy of discovering she was pregnant with triplets. It all seemed so distant now, overshadowed by the uncertainty that loomed large. Jonas paced the room, his thoughts a whirlwind of doubt and confusion. Every glance at the newborns brought a fresh wave of disbelief. He had always trusted Leah implicitly, but now, a nagging question gnawed at the edges of his mind. Could there have been a mistake? Or worse, a betrayal he couldn't fathom? As the doctor returned with preliminary results, the tension in the room reached its peak. He cleared his throat, drawing the attention of both Leah and Jonas. "There appears to be no immediate medical explanation for this," he began, his voice carefully neutral. "We will need to conduct further genetic testing to determine the cause." Leah's heart sank. She had hoped for answers, but instead, they were left with more questions. She glanced at Jonas, his face a mask of inner turmoil. The bond they had shared, so strong and unwavering, now seemed fragile in the face of this inexplicable event. The triplets, oblivious to the drama unfolding around them, lay peacefully in their cribs, their tiny fingers curling and uncurling in innocent slumber. Leah felt an overwhelming surge of love for them, a fierce protectiveness that transcended the mystery of their appearance. No matter what, they were her children, and she would do whatever it took to understand and protect them. As the medical team prepared to transfer Leah to a recovery room, Jonas stood by the window, staring out into the night. The city lights blurred in his vision, a reflection of the disarray in his mind. He felt a deep sense of loss, not just for the certainty of his world, but for the trust that seemed to hang in the balance. Leah, now settled in her new room, watched Jonas with a heavy heart. She wanted to reach out, to reassure him, but she knew that words would be inadequate. They needed answers, and until they had them, the chasm between them would remain. As the night wore on, Leah drifted into an uneasy sleep, her dreams a chaotic blend of hope and fear. Jonas, too restless to find solace in sleep, kept vigil by the window, his mind replaying the events of the day over and over. In the quiet moments before dawn, the first rays of light crept into the room, casting a soft glow on the triplets. Leah stirred, her eyes fluttering open to see Jonas still at the window. She knew that today would bring new challenges, new questions, but she also knew that they would face them together, no matter how daunting the path ahead. The journey they had embarked on was far from over. The shocking delivery had only marked the beginning of a deeper, more complex chapter in their lives. And as they navigated the uncertainties that lay ahead, Leah held onto the hope that love, in all its forms, would ultimately guide them through. Leah sat in her mother's living room, the weight of the recent events pressing heavily on her chest. The cozy ambience of the room, usually filled with warmth and the scent of her mother's homemade cookies, felt strangely cold and distant. Leah's heart was shattered, the pieces scattered beyond her reach. She had come to her mother's home seeking solace, a refuge from the storm that had taken over her life. Agatha, Leah's mother, watched her daughter with a mix of concern and heartache. The pain in Leah's eyes was evident, a reflection of a mother's worst nightmare. Agatha had always been the rock in Leah's life, the one who offered comfort during the darkest times, and this moment was no different. She approached Leah slowly, her steps careful and measured, as if any sudden movement might cause Leah to break even further. Leah's mind was a whirlwind of emotions, each thought pulling her deeper into despair. She had hoped that the birth of her triplets would bring nothing but joy and fulfillment into their lives. Instead, it had torn her and Jonas apart in ways she couldn't have imagined. The shock of the triplets' appearance had created a chasm between them, one filled with confusion and unspoken questions. Jonas, unable to cope with his emotions, had isolated himself, leaving Leah to navigate this tumultuous sea alone. Agatha sat beside Leah, her presence a silent offer of support. She gently placed a hand on Leah's, the touch warm and reassuring. Leah looked up, her eyes meeting her mother's, and in that moment, a dam of tears broke free. The sobs were uncontrollable, each one racking her body with the force of the grief she had been holding back. Agatha pulled Leah into an embrace, holding her tightly as if trying to physically keep her from falling apart. "We'll get through this, Leah. One step at a time," Agatha whispered, her voice soothing and filled with conviction. It was a promise, a reassurance that they would face this together, no matter how difficult the path ahead might be. The night passed slowly, each minute feeling like an eternity. Leah found herself lost in memories of happier times, moments filled with laughter and love. She remembered the day Jonas had proposed, the way his eyes had sparkled with excitement and hope. She remembered their struggles with infertility, the countless doctor visits, and the unwavering determination they shared to build a family. And she remembered the indescribable joy when they discovered Leah was pregnant with triplets, a miracle they had never expected. But now, those memories felt like fragments of a distant past, overshadowed by the present pain. Leah couldn't shake the image of Jonas's face when he saw the triplets, the shock and confusion that had marred his features. It was a look that haunted her, a constant reminder of the uncertainty that now loomed over their family. Morning light began to filter through the curtains, casting a soft glow in the room. Leah hadn't slept, her mind too restless to find any reprieve. Agatha had stayed by her side throughout the night, a silent guardian of her daughter's fragile state. As the first rays of dawn touched her face, Leah felt a small flicker of hope. She knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, but with her mother by her side, she felt a glimmer of strength. Leah decided it was time to reach out to Jonas. She couldn't bear the thought of their family being torn apart by this unforeseen twist. She needed to understand what he was feeling, to find a way to bridge the gap that had formed between them. With a deep breath, she picked up her phone and dialed his number, her heart pounding with each ring. Jonas answered on the third ring, his voice weary and distant. Hearing him only intensified the ache in Leah's chest, but she pushed forward, determined to connect. They spoke in halting sentences, each word laden with the weight of their emotions. Jonas admitted to feeling lost and overwhelmed, unable to reconcile his love for Leah with the confusion that had taken root in his heart. Leah listened, her own tears mingling with his. She shared her fears and her hopes, opening up about the pain of seeing him withdraw. They both knew that this was only the beginning of a long journey, one that would require patience, understanding, and a willingness to face the unknown together. As the conversation drew to a close, Leah felt a sense of tentative resolution. They had taken the first step, a small but significant move towards healing. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but with Jonas by her side and her mother's unwavering support, Leah felt a renewed sense of determination. They would face this challenge head-on, united in their love for each other and their commitment to their family. In the days that followed, Leah and Jonas began to navigate their new reality. They sought the guidance of a genetic counselor, hoping to uncover the truth behind the unexpected turn their lives had taken. They met with the fertility clinic staff, seeking answers and accountability. And through it all, they leaned on each other, finding strength in their shared journey. Agatha remained a constant source of support, her presence a comforting reminder that they were not alone. She helped care for the triplets, her love for them unwavering despite the circumstances of their birth. Slowly but surely, the pieces of Leah's shattered heart began to come together, each step bringing her closer to a sense of peace. In the end, Leah and Jonas discovered that family wasn't defined by blood alone, but by the bonds they chose to create and the commitments they chose to keep. They embraced their triplets with open hearts, recognizing the miracle that they were. And as they stood together, united in love and resilience, they knew that they would get through this, one step at a time. The room was sterile and clinical, yet there was a warmth emanating from the walls adorned with educational posters and certificates of the genetic counselor. Leah and Jonas sat side by side, their hands entwined, seeking solace in each other's touch. The journey to this point had been tumultuous, filled with an overwhelming blend of joy, confusion, and heartbreak. Now, they were united in their quest for answers. Leah's eyes darted around the room, landing on a model of a DNA strand perched on the counselor's desk. It was a reminder of the intricate science that held the key to understanding their situation. Jonas squeezed her hand gently, his eyes reflecting the same determination that had carried them through their struggles for parenthood. They were here, together, ready to uncover the truth. The genetic counselor, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a calm demeanor, entered the room, carrying a thick file. She settled into her chair, her expression one of professional concern. As she opened the file, the atmosphere grew tense with anticipation. Leah and Jonas leaned forward slightly, their hearts pounding in unison. The counselor began to speak, her voice steady and reassuring. She explained the initial genetic tests performed on the triplets, the standard procedures followed, and the unexpected results that had led to this meeting. She paused, looking directly at Leah and Jonas, acknowledging the gravity of their situation. "There must have been a mistake," she said, her tone firm yet compassionate. "Let's investigate further." The words hung in the air, a beacon of hope amidst their uncertainty. Leah felt a surge of relief and anxiety. Relief that there was a possibility of an explanation, and anxiety about what that explanation might be. Jonas nodded, his jaw set in determination. They were ready to delve deeper, to confront whatever truth lay ahead. The counselor began to outline the steps they would take to clarify the genetic anomaly. She suggested a comprehensive review of the fertility clinic's procedures, a re-examination of genetic samples, and consultations with other experts in the field. Leah and Jonas listened intently, absorbing the information, their minds racing with the implications. As the counselor spoke, Leah's thoughts drifted to the triplets. She pictured their innocent faces, their tiny hands gripping her fingers, their laughter filling the room. No matter the outcome of this investigation, She knew her love for them would remain unwavering. They were her children, her miracle, and nothing could change that. Jonas, too, was lost in thought. He remembered the first time he held each of the babies, the overwhelming rush of love and protectiveness. The shock and confusion that followed their birth had not diminished his feelings for them. Instead, it had intensified his resolve to understand, to protect, and to cherish them even more. The counselor finished her explanation, her eyes meeting theirs with a look of empathy and encouragement. She assured them that they would leave no stone unturned in their pursuit of the truth. Leah and Jonas thanked her, their voices filled with gratitude and hope. They left the office with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to face the challenges ahead. As they walked out into the sunlight, Leah felt a sense of clarity wash over her. They were on a journey, not just to uncover the genetic truth, but to reaffirm their commitment to each other and their family. Jonas, sensing her thoughts, wrapped his arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. They were together, stronger than ever, ready to face whatever came next. Their steps were in sync as they walked to their car, a silent testament to their unity. The road ahead was uncertain, but they knew they would navigate it together. With each passing moment, their resolve grew stronger, their bond deeper. The pursuit of truth was not just about genetics. It was about love, resilience, and the unbreakable ties that bound them as a family. In the days that followed, Leah and Jonas immersed themselves in the investigative process. They reviewed medical records, spoke with experts, and revisited the fertility clinic. Each step brought them closer to understanding, each piece of information a vital part of the puzzle. Throughout this journey, they leaned on each other for support, drawing strength from their shared experiences and unwavering love. The triplets, blissfully unaware of the complexities surrounding their birth, continued to bring joy and laughter into their lives. Their innocence was a constant reminder of what truly mattered. The genetic counselor remained a steady presence, guiding them through the labyrinth of scientific data and emotional turmoil. Her expertise and compassion were invaluable, providing a beacon of hope in times of doubt. Leah and Jonas were grateful for her dedication and commitment to uncovering the truth. As weeks turned into months, the investigation began to yield results. The pieces of the puzzle slowly started to come together, revealing a clearer picture of what had transpired. Leah and Jonas braced themselves for the final revelation, their hearts intertwined in anticipation and trepidation. Finally, the day arrived when they would learn the truth. The genetic counselor called them into her office, her expression a mix of solemnity and reassurance. Leah and Jonas sat down, their hands clasped tightly, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The counselor began to speak, her voice steady and clear. She explained the findings in detail, outlining the series of events that had led to the unexpected genetic outcome. Leah and Jonas listened intently, their emotions a whirlwind of relief, understanding, and acceptance. As the counselor concluded, Leah felt a sense of closure wash over her. The truth, though complex, had brought clarity and resolution. She looked at Jonas, her eyes reflecting the depth of their shared journey. They had faced this challenge together, and together they had emerged stronger. Jonas squeezed her hand, his eyes filled with love and pride. They had uncovered the truth, and in doing so, had reaffirmed their commitment to each other and their family. The road ahead was still uncertain, but they knew they would navigate it with the same resilience and love that had carried them through their struggles. As they left the counselor's office, Leah and Jonas felt a renewed sense of purpose and hope. They were ready to embrace the future, strengthened by the truth they had uncovered and the unbreakable bond that united them as a family, Leah and Jonas walked into the fertility clinic with a mixture of anxiety and determination. The sterile environment of the clinic contrasted sharply with the warmth and love they had built in their home. They had been through so much together, and today they hoped to finally get the answers they so desperately needed. The walls of the clinic seemed to close in on them as they approached the reception desk, their hearts pounding in unison. The receptionist, sensing their urgency, guided them to a small, private office where they were to meet with the clinic's director, Maren. Leah clutched Jonas's hand tightly, feeling the weight of the past few months bearing down on her. The birth of their triplets, who had unexpectedly dark skin, had thrown their lives into turmoil. They needed to know how this had happened, and they needed to know now. Maren entered the room, her face a mask of professionalism, but Leah could see the tension in her eyes. She took a seat behind her desk and motioned for Leah and Jonas to sit across from her. The silence in the room was almost suffocating as Maren took a deep breath and began to speak. "I understand you have concerns about the recent birth of your triplets," Maren said, her voice steady but with an undercurrent of apprehension. Leah and Jonas nodded, their eyes fixed on her, willing her to provide the answers they needed. "We've conducted a thorough investigation into your case," Maren continued, "and I regret to inform you that there was a grievous mistake in the insemination process." Her words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of their implications. Leah felt a lump form in her throat as she struggled to process what she was hearing. Maren's eyes softened with genuine remorse as she looked directly at Leah and Jonas. "I am so sorry," she said, her voice breaking slightly. "It appears that there was a mix-up with the donor samples. The wrong sample was used during Leah's insemination." The room seemed to spin as Leah and Jonas absorbed the shocking revelation. Jonas's grip on Leah's hand tightened, grounding her in the moment. They had come here seeking answers, and now they had them, but the truth was almost too much to bear. Leah's mind raced as she tried to make sense of it all. The triplets, their beautiful babies, were not biologically Jonas's. The realization hit her like a tidal wave, and she could see the pain etched on Jonas's face as he wrestled with his own emotions. Maren continued to speak, her voice filled with regret. "We have taken immediate steps to ensure that such a mistake never happens again. I understand that this is a difficult and painful situation, and we are here to support you in any way we can." Leah felt a surge of anger and sadness, but also a strange sense of relief. The truth was out, and now they could begin to heal. She looked at Jonas, searching his eyes for reassurance. He met her gaze, and in that moment, she saw the love and determination that had carried them through so many challenges. "We need some time to process this," Jonas said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. "But we appreciate your honesty and your commitment to making things right." Maren nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "Of course," she said softly. "Take all the time you need. We are here for you." As Leah and Jonas left the clinic, their minds were a whirlwind of emotions. They had faced a devastating truth, but they had faced it together. They knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but they also knew that their love for each other and their children would guide them through. Walking out into the sunlight, Leah took a deep breath, feeling a sense of clarity and purpose. They had uncovered the truth, and now it was time to rebuild their lives. They would embrace their triplets with all the love and strength they could muster, knowing that family was about more than just blood. It was about the bonds they chose to create and the commitments they chose to keep. And so, hand in hand, Leah and Jonas began the journey towards healing and acceptance, ready to face whatever the future held for them and their beautiful triplets. Their home, now filled with family warmth, echoed with laughter and the gentle sounds of a new life. Jonas and Leah had decided that their journey through the storm had only strengthened their bond and given them a renewed sense of purpose. Each piece of furniture, each picture on the wall, seemed to embrace the newfound harmony in their lives. Jonas and Leah stood in the living room, watching their triplets play. The children, with their dark skin and bright eyes, were the epitome of innocence and joy. Jonas could feel the warmth of Leah's hand in his, a silent testimony to their unbroken commitment. The house, once filled with uncertainty and tension, was now a sanctuary of love and understanding. They had invited Maren over that evening. It was not an easy decision, but forgiveness was the only way to truly heal. Leah opened the door, and Maren stepped in, her face a mixture of apprehension and hope. The air was thick with unspoken words, but the atmosphere was far from hostile. Leah gestured for Maren to sit, and the three adults found themselves in an unplanned but necessary conversation. Maren apologized once again, her voice trembling. She expressed her deep regret and her wish to make amends. Jonas and Leah listened, their eyes meeting occasionally in silent communication. They had come a long way from the initial shock and confusion. They had spent countless nights discussing, crying, and ultimately understanding that their family was not defined by genetic markers, but by the love and commitment they shared. Jonas finally broke the silence, his voice steady and filled with newfound wisdom. He spoke about family, about the bonds they choose to create, and the commitments they choose to keep. Maren's eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow but of relief. She had feared this moment, but had also hoped for it, a chance to be forgiven and to move forward. Leah added her voice to Jonas's, her words soft but powerful. She talked about the journey they had undertaken, the struggles and the miracles, and the realization that love was the ultimate answer. The room seemed to lighten, the weight of past mistakes lifting, making way for a brighter future. They embraced Maren, a gesture that signified not just forgiveness, but acceptance. The triplets, sensing the shift in the room, crawled over to their parents, their giggles filling the air. Leah picked up one of the children, Jonas took another, and Maren, with a hesitant smile, held the third. It was a moment of unity, a new beginning. The evening continued with shared stories and laughter. They talked about the future, about the dreams they had for the children, and the life they envisioned together. The past was acknowledged but not dwelled upon. It had shaped them, but it would not define them. As the night drew to a close, Leah and Jonas walked Maren to the door. They hugged her once more, a silent promise that she would always be a part of their extended family. Maren left with a lighter heart, knowing that she had been given a second chance. Jonas and Leah returned to the living room, their children now asleep in their cribs. They sat in silence, the kind of silence that spoke volumes. They had faced their fears, confronted their doubts, and emerged stronger. Their home was not just a physical space, but a testament to their journey, a sanctuary where love reigned supreme. Jonas looked at Leah, his eyes filled with gratitude and love. He knew that their journey was far from over, but they were ready for whatever came next. Leah smiled, her heart full. They had embraced their new beginning, and it was beautiful. In the quiet of their home, they held each other, knowing that family wasn't just about blood. It was about the bonds they chose to create and the commitments they chose to keep. And in that moment, they were truly complete.